Hey, what's going on, everybody? Haven't done a video in a while, so I don't know, been a little nervous about the next couple of days coming up with the inauguration, but let's just get into it. So today's video is going to be called, I think, The Myth of Meritocracy, right? So let's just get into it. I feel a lot of the things that the right MAGA people are attacking and in the basis of said attacking, and they're attacking like affirmative action, DEI, all the education, certain these things they're attacking on the basis of people are getting things that they don't deserve. Even their attacking of the welfare system and all these things. They are very much so concerned about this group of like people that don't deserve it, unworthy folks. And they would almost rather cut off their nose to spite their face just to make sure that these people that they deem are unworthy don't receive anything. And I just wanted to talk about like the falseness of their own meritocracy. So, and I don't know if you know, but like meritocracy in its own word just means basically a system that promotes people based on merit and honor and then basically deserving it and earning it, right? You know, the people that got the highest test scores win, the people that, you know, put in the hardest work do it, you know what I'm saying? Like that there's no favoritism, you know what I'm saying? There's no, oh, because you're a woman, oh, because you're black, oh, because you're whatever. Like just the top of the top get it, right? You know what I'm saying? In every aspect. And when most systems of injustice are challenged, most of those solutions are challenged based upon the fact that the illusion of there not being a merit based. But what I'd like to start with in this conversation is that we were not coming from a merit based system, right? You know, up until 1965 and still today, really, there was legal discrimination. Like it was literally white male DEI, that no one could hold any high position at all unless they were white and male. Period. Like that's just what it was. And if you don't believe me, all those things are still reflected in today's stats. Who are the politicians? Who are the majority of politicians? Who are the majority of the CEOs? Who are the majority of the scientists and doctors and every other profession that gets paid the most? Who? White men. And it's because they had that locked in advantage. And then there are lots of things that trickle down from those advantages, right? Like if your dad was in this profession, you as the son or daughter, you know, have a in, right? You have an inside. Let's say they've had high executive positions. You have colleges they went to that your parents are alumni to. You have networks of employees, and he could have his friends hire you, get internships, all those things. You know the majors and courses you need to take in colleges. So there's so many other indirect benefits from that racist system that allowed people to do it. And also, there are these intangible benefits of like what you see as success. You know, people and children, when they grow up, you know, they emulate what they can see in role models. And if you see every politician, every doctor, every scientist, everything being a white man, it almost impacts your ability to dream about like what you can be. But I digress. So I want to talk specifically about affirmative action in education because it's the biggest thing to me that has the results that show that it was all a fucking scam, right? So in short, I don't know if many of you know, but like a white guy, I forget what his name is, but he has been basically trying to challenge every civil rights act and all forms of affirmative action since it came out. And he basically in the late, and he challenged it and lost. Like, you know, there was challenges to affirmative action in Michigan from a white girl, challenges to affirmative action in Texas from a white girl, and they all failed. So what he did is like he got Asians, you know what I'm saying? I was like to be the face of his lawsuit. And long story short, they won. It was about Harvard. They're saying like, hey, there should be more Asians in Harvard because based on just pure test scores and merit, right? Because they, you know, Asians on average in America have the highest GPAs, have the highest test scores, and, you know, they believe that like they were getting, you know, not accepted to prestigious institutions and blaming affirmative action that gave and what they seem as being black, right? And what people don't really understand about affirmative action is that affirmative action basically benefits everybody that's not a white man, right? It has African Americans are not the primary benefactor of affirmative action. It's actually women. Look at the presence of women in colleges and universities pre and post affirmative action. It went from women being like maybe a third of college students to now women actually being the majority of college students from like 60%. Those are really the main benefactors, right? People that have disabilities, right? They're a large benefactor in having educational accommodations for learning institutions, right? Imagine not having a ramp or an elevator. Those are things that came about really about increasing access for people with disabilities, affirmative action. But the face of it is black, right? You're giving these unworthy black people our spots, right? But if you look at the people that were actually admitted, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a second class person. Like, it wasn't a person that didn't have equal test scores. Like, no, not at all. Achievement is on par. And fast forwarding this, what happened after affirmative action was abolished in education, right? You would think that the plaintiffs, some of the Asian Americans, that their enrollments would just skyrocket, right? But no, that hasn't happened. At basically every single of the prestigious institutions, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, UPenn, Duke, Georgetown, Asian enrollment has gone down by almost 10% at each place. Down. After the end of affirmative action, this lawsuit that was done to try and increase their presence, right, and get rid of all the unworthy blacks and Latinos, right, that are taking up all these spots allegedly. But what happened to the black and Latin people percentages? They stayed the same. They stayed the same. So real data shows that it actually didn't help us, right, in that aspect. It allowed just a legal space to be able to take some other things into consideration. But even basing it on this quote-unquote meritocracy, black people stayed the same, but Asians went down. So they were used and scapegoated. But you know what population went up? Ding, ding, ding. I don't even have to tell you. White people, their admission rates went up, which is exactly what the purpose of this lawsuit was. And if they said, hey, it didn't work when they were talking about white people, because they know there's no real event, like there's no unfairness in the educational system scared against white people. It was designed for white people, right? So they had to use Asians. And now the actual impact is that Asian presences at the universities in which they wanted is now down. Because guess what they didn't do? They didn't get rid of all the non-merit based, all the scholarships for all these obscure sports that mostly white people play, all these legacy things. They didn't get rid of those. They're still there. Why didn't you attack any of those that literally disproportionately give people opportunities that they aren't supposed to have? And we fast forward this into the military. Like right now, Pete Hegseth, he's the person that is, Trump is putting up, the Fox News host that is like literally has so much public drunkenness. You know what I'm saying? He's accused of abusing women. I guess that's something Trump likes, and his leaders. He's run nonprofit organizations into the ground under investigation. He's never been a decorated student in any institution or school. When he was in the armed forces, he wasn't a decorated soldier. You know what I'm saying? He was a weekend reporter for Fox News. This man has never been exceptional at anything in his life except for beating women and being a drunk. And this motherfucker has the biggest audacity in the world talking about he's going to bring meritocracy back to the military. He's going to make sure people are there because they earned it? Because you earned it so much? He would be the least qualified head of the Pentagon ever. Ever. The least qualified by any means. Under any other administration, he wouldn't even be up for consideration. And you are the motherfucker talking about merit? If we're talking about merit, you shouldn't be here. You would not even be let in the room. But yet he's somehow coming in with what in the white privileged authority that someone that it defines what being unqualified for a job is going to go in and tell others that they're qualified or not? And we all know what he means. He's attacking DEI, suggesting that anybody that had any consideration that potentially had race involved was somehow unqualified. But you don't think that your race was considered in Trump's pick? It's literally insane. It's like this myth of merit. You know what I'm saying? What merit really means to them is that it's white. That the systemic injustices that most of us have experienced in this nation are caked and baked in, and they have transitioned it into their minds as if it's something that they've earned. If it's something that is like really based on merit and not exclusively based on the freezing out of opportunity of everyone else other than you. And think about it, that's the basis of why they're trying to burn books and why they're trying to eliminate Black history and Native American history being taught. Because that shows that it wasn't merit, right? It shows that you stole a whole race of people. You stole labor for hundreds of years and refused to give them anything for it. Is that merit? You stole land. You stole land. You committed genocide and massacred these people and then regulated them to small things where they can't even control the land. Is that merit? Then you freeze people out of equal opportunity for the majority of it, burn their towns, legalize segregation, and freeze them out of resources and property earning. Is that merit? And so the benefits that you have gained from that and pass on to your children, you somehow think that you've earned that. In any effort and discussion to saying that, hey, maybe that things need to be balanced, maybe we need to consider the same race that you considered in filling up all those things, maybe we need to also consider race in the solution, that is somehow a non-starter? And then you're coming in saying it's about merit? You've got to be fucking kidding me. And we have to stop letting these motherfuckers say it. You didn't earn anything based on merit. Merit presumes that there's an equal playing field, right? Think about how people are going to college. Is it merit that some person is the daughter or son of one of the wealthy people in the world who's been able to go to all the best schools, have all the opportunities, have all the advantages? Is that merit? Is that merit if they just had everything handed to them and they got it and they did it? Is that merit based on somebody that had to scrape and drag themselves up from the bottom for everything? They ain't had no real parents, ain't have any opportunity, and they've met somebody that has had everything handed to them the same way? Are you telling me those people need to be looked at the same? That's what we're talking about? That's what merit is? Let's just get it together, yo. I mean, we just have to talk about it. It is not merit. It's uplifting the systemic advantages that a certain group has had. And they had it based on only white men being able to get it. And they want to keep that shit. So sorry, a little bit longer video today, but until next time.